Even during the evenings and weekends during those summers, I had another job, a second job. I worked these other ones full-time during the day, but in the evenings and weekends I went to that iconic establishment in America called McDonald's. And I was one of the cooks in the back who were flipping the hamburgers over and making those quarter pounders and those Big Macs to serve to the customers. And I did that for 3 or 4 summers when I was in my university years. Again, just needed to make money so that I could pay for my university education. That wasn't a glorious job, let me tell you. I would leave there after an evening's work just feeling like I was covered in grease. And in some ways, I kind of was. But the good thing about that job was the people. Unlike where I had Frank as Dave as an evening manager who was making my life difficult, these were young people like myself, and we just got along great, and it was a fun environment in which to work. In fact, even one time, some of the young ladies came up to me late in the evening when we were closing the place down and we were just cleaning things up. They came and said to me, "Rod, you're the guy that we have voted, the guy they would least like to date, but most like to marry." I was never sure if that was a compliment or a diss. I'm still trying to figure that one out, but I kind of take it as a badge of honor that they believed that I was the kind of guy who may not be able to give them the greatest time some evening out, but maybe I could give them a happy life together. And so I just want to encourage all of our young men to think of themselves in that way. Be the kind of guy that you can make somebody happy with the rest of your life. Well, I also had jobs while I was at university. I was a resident assistant in one of the dormitories. I think we call it a dorm assistant here, hostel assistant here at ANU. I helped keep track of all the guys, make sure they were tucked in bed at night, make sure everything was orderly in that dormitory. I was also a teaching assistant for the faculty of the Department of Religion at my university. That was a big honor. They only chose one person to do that, and I had that honor my 4th year. But all during my university years, people were seeing something in me, something that they believed that I could make a difference, that I could add value to whatever it was they were doing. And really the lesson I'm taking away from all of that I learned in that is be a responsible person. Be somebody that they can count on, and you will get additional opportunities to grow and develop, and you'll be honored in some way. So by the time I was a 4th year student, I was kind of well known on our campus. I was something of a leader, and everything changed though after university. I got married. My wife and I met during university, and immediately after university we graduated, we got married. And all we knew was that I was going to go on for a master's degree and further my education preparation for ministry. And so we went back to the same university. I got a job then, again, to help make ends meet for our family. My wife got a job, I got a job. I was a family man now. And that job that I got was to be the janitor or custodian or cleaner in the student union building, where all the students came to eat their meals and have their indoor games. So it was the place where the students hung out a lot. And so, I went from being a big man on campus my senior year of university to now being the guy who was cleaning the toilets and mopping the floors and wiping the windows. And so that was a bit humbling, but really it was what I needed to do. Again, take responsibility. If you've got a family, if you've got people that are counting on you, you need to do what you need to do, so long as it's honorable, to help support the family and make a living. And so I was willing to do that, and it was a good experience for me. In fact, even to this day, in my house at home, on the weekends, when the house help's not around, you're looking at the mopper in our house, okay? Went from there to seminary to continue my education. In seminary, I drove a school bus. That worked well with my academic schedule. I took the kids to school in the morning, went to class, and then picked the kids up after school and took them home. I was a furniture mover. I helped people move their furniture from house to a moving van and then move to another city. And I also was a newspaper delivery agent, or boy, if you want to call it. I had a car, I would go pick up my newspapers, deliver the newspapers all over that part of the city. These were just whatever jobs I needed to do to make certain that I was meeting my obligations to my wife, and then later on when we had children. Well, from seminary, I went to work on my PhD. So we moved to New York City, outside of New York City, and I went to work on that. Again, I had jobs there. I was a guy who helped to teach students how to take the national exam. They call it SAT in the United States. But eventually I felt like I couldn't do that in a good conscience, because only the rich kids could afford to take that course, learning how to take that test. And so my encouragement to everybody is find a job that you believe in, that helps to make the world a better place, a world that is a job that isn't going to make the world less just, but more just. I also had a job as a youth pastor. That's the main thing that I did during that time. I became the pastor for a bunch of youth in a church, had a great time, great experience, loved working with those kids. But during that time, you know, by this time I had a bachelor's degree, 3 master's degrees. And now I decided I really needed to focus in on finishing this dissertation so I could get my PhD. I worked really hard, I quit these other jobs, even the ministry job, and I focused just on being a full-time student again, and I really cranked out that dissertation. I finished my last chapter, I submitted it to my academic advisor, and I was just waiting for his feedback. So I knew I had some time on my hands. I was just waiting. That was around January or so. Graduation was in May, and so I got another job for those few months before graduation. And that job was, are you ready for this? A security guard. I was an Askari at a newspaper printing plant. Again, bachelor's degree, 3 master's degree, and just waiting around to get my PhD. And I'm this Askari in my uniform with my torch going around that newspaper printing plant, checking all the doors, looking at my CCTV cameras, and all the stuff that comes with being an Askari in an institution like that. Again, I guess the bottom line is be humble enough to do whatever is an honorable kind of job. Don't be too proud, but do what you need to do to fulfill your responsibilities, to help your family make ends meet, to make your situation a little better. All of these things become springboards to something else. And from there, after I graduated with my PhD, I became the pastor, the lead pastor of a church in Arlington, Virginia. An amazing church, wonderfully diverse people from all over the world. I learned so much. 5 years into that ministry assignment, we got a call to come to African Nazarene University. And at first, my wife and I prayed about it, and we thought, no, we got a good situation here. But the more we prayed about it, the more we felt like this was the right thing. This is where God could use us maximally to make a difference in this world. And so we left there, we came here. And I believe that all of those experiences, well, let me just say this. When we came here to ANU, I joined the Department of Religion as a faculty member. Then within a year, I was made the chair of the department. And then I did that for 9 years and then became the Deputy Vice Chancellor in 2001. So I've been doing that now for 7+ years. All of these experiences, from way back as a kid taking care of the cemetery to now being Deputy Vice Chancellor, I believe have been preparing me for this assignment that I have. All of those lessons that I've learned, all of those experiences that I've had, the people that have enriched my life have helped to shape me and make me the kind of person that I believe God is hopefully able to use here at ANU. You know, I grew up in a part of the state of Indiana where there were no kids of other ethnic origin. I could probably count the number of black kids that I grew up with on one hand and still have some fingers left over. And so you can see that all of this, even going to New York City, it was a diverse area, going to Washington, D.C. and pastoring in a diverse congregation, it was all helping to lead me to the point where I could function and be effective here in this assignment as a missionary and an academic leader on the campus of African Nazarene University. So my word of admonishment to everybody is, don't despise any job you have. Whatever God has given you to do right now, make the most of it. Learn whatever you can from it. Develop the skills that you'll need because they'll be useful for you later on in life. Scripture verse, Matthew 25, is a parable of the talents. And the master comes home and calls his servants in, and to two of them who went out and took their talents and made 2 more talents or 5 more talents, he says, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. Now I will put you in charge of many things." Be faithful with those few things, whatever little they may be. I don't know whether you're a 5-talent guy or a 2-talent woman, but whatever God has put in your hands, whatever jobs, whatever opportunities, whatever talents He's given you, make the most of them, and your opportunities will expand later on in life, and who knows what God has in store for you. Take care, all the best.